relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Klal Yisrael is called the husband and the wife. And therefore, sometimes if a person wants a window into their relationship with God, if one looks at the state of their marriage, so sometimes a person could get a little bit of an inkling, a little bit of an insight into what my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. Od Muva B'Shem HaRizal. We'll say this is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful yisod. Od Muva B'Shem HaRizal. She'ishto shel ha'adam ki ha'mareh shelo. This is a very beautiful idea that the Arizal brings down is his mirror. Ulefi hisnagus shelo, lefi amidos shelo, lefi yiras shamayim shelo, yochol hu liros es atzmo ki b'mareh. So the Arizal says that a man's wife is like his mirror. And if you look at her midos, if you look at her yiras shamayim, if you look ultimately again of the aspects of her personality, a husband is able to learn a lot about himself. L'dugma, imhi ka'asanis. So the Arizal says, for example, if my wife has a short temper, simin shehu ka'asan. That could be a simin. She could be reflecting midos that I have, that I've brought into this home, that I brought into this marriage. And therefore, if I see that she has a short fuse, I may have to ask myself, do I have a problem with kas? Even if I tell myself, no, I don't have a problem with anger, right? I'm a very calm person. Sometimes a person thinks that he's calm. Sometimes a person thinks that he's measured. But in reality, there's a lot of kas, there's a lot of anger that's there. Sometimes, we hold on to a wellspring of anger that's there, that's bubbling up, that we just have not yet acknowledged, but it's there. Marim elo es derech ishto bizuchuchis magdalas. Most of it is an amazing statement. So it turns out, says the Arizal, in fact, very much a wife's behavior is reflective of how her husband is treating her and the nature of the quality of her husband's personality. So if a wife has a problem with anger, again, sometimes it could just be the wife's problem with anger, but it could also be reflective of the husband's difficulty with not dealing with his kas, with his anger. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows me that I have a problem through my wife. She becomes ultimately, again, the mirror to me, to be able to see what the issues that I have to work on. He says, "V'lachin marim lo ezeh." Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows me the problems that I have. Derech ishto. V'zichuchis magdalas. This is a very, very. Zichuchis magdalas means what? So sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows me my issues through a magnifying glass. Who's the magnifying glass? It's my wife. Hamashkefes es pinimius hamitis. She's able to magnify who I truly am on the inside. It could be that again, if a person chas v'shalom sees that his wife is weak in a particular mitzvah, simin shetzlo yesh chulsha b'kiyum osa mitzvah. It could be that I have the problem. I'm really the one with the problem with that mitzvah. But again, the Rebbe Shalom is showing it to me ultimately through the actions of my wife. Gam b'mikra kazeh, talking shilichitzonios hu achim makayim osa mitzvah, aba b'pnimius hu eino mechuber ima. Because sometimes a person can be connected with a particular mitzvah in the chitzonius, externally. But in the pnimius, on the inside, they're not really connected with it. And therefore, if a man doesn't bring a certain light of ruchnius to his home, so the other members of the home don't catch on to it. Bo'im kidei l'ramiz la'apagam be'emuno shelo, or begaiva, or b'niyuf, or b'pegame einai. This is an incredible use. So the last two lines on page Kuf Yud Zayin. Writes the Mechaber, there are many times when a person struggles with his shalom bayis, that ultimately, again, struggles of shalom bayis are manifestations, not of necessarily marital problems, but that shalom bayis issues often can be a manifestation of my own problems. Which I will say, we all know this to be true, because the truth is, more often than not, when we get into issues with shalom bayis, usually it's because I'm not in a good place, right? If a man is honest with himself, the a man is in a good place, and a man is in a good place with his ruchnius, and he feels that he's serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu kidasu kidin. And let's say a person is happy at work. So the things that are important to you in life are in a good place. You're usually much more present and much more successful in your marriage. It's when things are in a state of disrepair that ultimately, again, people tend to bring these feelings of failure into their relationships. Of course, no one's ever going to say to their wife, I feel like a bad Jew, let's fight. But really what more ends up happening is that I'm unhappy with myself. And so I'm unhappy with myself. It's so much easier to pick out the deficiencies in the other. And that's ultimately how problems begin. So the Mechaber just says, and I've always said, this is an incredible yisod. And again, I can't tell you enough that it doesn't mean, we have to be careful how literally we take the Mechaber is painting a picture. And the picture that he's painting is that the Rebbe Shalom communicates with us in all different kinds of ways. The Rebbe Shalom communicates with us through our relationships, so that when there is a level of dysfunction, or where there is some disrepair in a relationship, whether it's with my children, whether it's with my parents, whether it's with my spouse, yes, sometimes it means I have to work on my marriage, or on my parenting, or on my being a child. But sometimes it also means that the Ribono Shalom is trying to tell me that something in me is in a state of disrepair. Sometimes I will say, this is amazing. Sometimes when you see the problem in the other, it's the Ribono Shalom trying to tell me that the problem is with me. I'll say, that's why and with this we'll really have to stop, but that's why there are some people who go through life tell you what's wrong with every single other person. Right? They can point out, they can even give it to you like in an alphabetized list. You know what your problem is? I know what your problem is. And they can give you the 15 things. And they can tell you what's broken about their spouse. They can tell you what's broken about their kids, what's broken about their friends, what's broken about their parents. You ask them, no, by the way, is there anything you think you need to work on? And of course, Baruch Hashem, no, I'm good. Thank God. I will say, but the yesod is, if you're that kind of person who sees the deficiencies in everyone and everything else, just know that the world may be your mirror. And the fact that you see that which is broken in every other situation may be indicative of the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is allowing you to see this in order to show me what it is that I have to go ahead and work on. All right, so we'll stop over here. We'll pick up top of page Kuf Yud Ches, Yirtzeh Hashem, tomorrow morning.
I'm sure.
All right, so we'll say good morning. Let's begin. A lot to do today. Today's daf is daf Dalid 4. We are picking up on Gimel Amud Beis 3b, and I will say we are picking up on the second wide line. So remember again, our shir is dedicated to Ilui Nishmas Eliezer ben Klonos. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah Hashem will have a complete and enduring Aliyah. We'll say let's begin. We'll say so. Today we have exceptional Gemara. So Dinei Mamanis B'Shlosha. So the halacha is that you have to adjudicate, right? Dinei Mamanis, monetary law with a basin of 3 people. Rabbi Omer B'Chamisha. Rabbi says no, you need a basin of 5. Why 5? K'dei sheyigmor hadin b'shlosha. We'll say this is amazing. Rabbi says you need 5 in order that you could reach a verdict through at least 3 judges. I don't understand. If you have a basin of 3, why can't you reach a verdict with 2? This is what it means to say. So what Rabbi means to say is that we need a verdict. We need a verdict ultimately, again, to be conveyed by 3, meaning a verdict requires a majority of at least 3. Therefore, we see that according to Rabbi, when we learn out the concept of 3 witnesses, that must mean what? 3 judges. 3 judges is a din in the Gemar din, in the final verdict. Megadif or Rabbi Avo will say, now Megadif, usually is a very strong word. Megadif means actually, biblically means to curse. Here over here, it more means like Rabbi Avo was like blown away by this. He didn't understand the statement. Alma kasavar tzlosa kiksiv v'gmardiniksiv. So Rabbi Avo says, I don't understand, Rebbe. So you're telling me now that when the Torah discusses the idea of three judges, that three judges is not a concept in the adjudication of a case, but rather it's a concept in the resolution of a case. And when the Torah speaks about three judges, as we spoke about yesterday, we learned the source for needing three dayanim. That three dayanim means that in the verdict you need three dayanim. Now, also remember, if you need three dayanim in the verdict, that means you need a basin of at least how many? Of at least 5. So Rabbi Avo says, well, if that's the case, you've just fundamentally upended the entire judicial system. How so? So Gemara says, if that's the case, if that's the case, then the Sanhedrin should need 141 judges in order that what? So that you could reach a majority, decision with 71. What Rabbi Avo is saying is like this. So if you're telling me that when we say you need 3 judges, that means a majority of 3 judges. That means you need a basin of 5. That means every single time the Mishnah told me about a certain number of dayanim for a basin, I now understand that number to mean what? That's the number of judges you need on the court as a majority. So when you told me that a Sanhedrin is 71, are you telling me then that what? That a Sanhedrin requires a majority of 71, which means that by definition, the Sanhedrin must have at least 141 members. The Sanhedrin should require at least 45. That you could have a 23-person majority. Obviously, that's not possible, right? That's obviously not possible. The Torah can't be telling me that I have to have, or I should say, Chazal can't be telling me that I have to have batei din of this size, because at the end of the day, large governing bodies are unruly and unproductive. Ella, rather, what does the Gemara say? Asfali shivim ish. Rather, what does the Torah say? The Torah says like this. Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, gather for me 70 men. Gather me 70 men. Amar Rachman, Mishas Asifa Shivim. Oh, so what do you see from here? Asfali means collect for me. So the Gemara says Mishas Asifa. What does Shas Asifa mean? The number 70 is related to the Asifa, to the gathering, which means the actual judicial process. It's not referring to the rendering of the verdict. Because Baruch was not saying to Moshe, he needs 70 people for the verdict. Because Baruch was saying Moshe needs 70 people for the process. Remember, we saw this in the Mishnah. We learn out the Sanhedrin HaKatan, which is 23, from the 2 mentions of Eidah. Shaftu HaEidah, the Eidah will judge, the Eidah will say, Nami Mishas Shfitas HaEidah. So you see the Torah use Lashon of Shfitas HaEidah, when the congregation judges. So you see from here that the Torah is giving me these numbers in relation to the actual judicial process, not to the verdict. Hachanami v'nikra balabayis ela elokim. So too, reason of 3. The pasuk says the balabayis will approach the Elohim, will approach the judge. Mishas kriva shlosha. Ultimately, again, from the time that the litigants approach the judges, you require 3. So therefore, I will say, what we're saying over here is all of the numbers that we had for batei din were numbers for the actual judicial process, not numbers necessary for the verdict. So why does Rebbe hold what he holds? Remember, Rebbe said that for dinei mammon is going to be based in a 5. So Rebbe, where do you get this from? Asher yarshion Elokim trey ne'emar. So we'll say, listen to me, trey. So Rebbe says like this. We'll say when it comes to monetary law, the Torah says yarshion Elokim. That or he who the judges will find guilty. Now both say Yashiun Elohim is plural. The basic definition of plural is 2. So Ne'emar Elohim lamata, but Ne'emar Elohim lamala. It says Elohim twice. Ma lamata shnayim, af lamala shnayim. Just like Elohim in the first context means 2, Elohim in the second context means 2 as well. Ve'ein based in shakol, and therefore based in cannot go ahead and be equal. So you can't have a 4th-person based in. Mosifin aleim od echad harikan chamisha. You add on 1 more and then you get 5. So we'll say, so Rebbe is really just doing the basic zeres hakasav. Torah says the word Elohim, the definition of Elohim is, or Yashir Elohim, is 2 judges. You have 2 and 2 is 4. You can't have a beis din shal, can't have an even beis din. We add a 5th. Top of Dalid. So why don't the Rabbanon subscribe to this? The Rabbanon Yarshion ksiv. They both say the Rabbanon hold, even though normally the word Yarshion, but it's written chaser. It's written without a vav. And because it's written without a vav, the Torah is teaching me that I'm not to darshan its plurality. So because I'm not to darshan its plurality, therefore, again, you don't end up with 4 judges. Okay, so I'm going to be so it seems to be here between Rabbi and the Rabbanon is just in how you darshan psukim. Rabbi's darshaning Yashin Elokim, right, which represents 4 judges out of 4. You can't have a base in shackle out of 5. The Rabbanon say we don't darshan that Yashin as in a plural sense because it's written chaser, it's written without the vav. So we'll say, listen to this. I'm going to be so we'll say this is a great Gemara. I'm going to be Yitzchak Bar Yossi, I'm going to be Yochanan. Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz, Ube Shammai, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Akiva. We'll say this is like an all-star lineup. All of these great Rabbanim, yesh aim lemikra. Oh, I will say now we're going to come to one of the most yesodistic machlokes in Shas. And we've actually seen this a number of times already. The machlokes of yesh aim lemikra or yesh aim lemasoras. I will say sometimes in the Torah you could have a word that is read a certain way, but spelled a different way, written a different way. So the shaila is, when you have a difference in the word in the Torah between the way that it's spoken and the way that it's written, so which form ultimately obtains supremacy? And this is going to be important as we're going to see just a little bit. So the Gemara suggests all of these Rabbanim that we just mentioned, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz, Rabbi Shammai, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Akiva, all hold Yesh Eim Lemikra. Take a look at the top Rashi, Yesh Eim Lemikra, Baser Kriya Azlina. I will say we go after the way the word is spoken, literally the way the word is read. Yesh Eim Lemikra means you go after the way that the word is vocalized and pronounced. So we'll say now we're going to go through where we see each of these opinions. Rabbi Hada'am. So we'll say Rabbi we just saw because that's based on Yarshion. Even though Yarshion, Rabbi say is without a vav, even though it's without a vav, because it's read as Yarshion plural, therefore by definition, Rabbi darshans it in a plural sense to teach you 2 judges. Says Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz, listen to this. The sign really didn't write says Shalom Tamid and Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz. So ultimately, again, the students ask Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz, Ekra ani Yachol tehe yoleves nekeva Tamei Shivim. So we'll say, listen to this. The Torah in the beginning of Parshas Tazria speaks about the laws of Tumas Leida. So the Torah says, for example, when a woman gives birth to a boy, so she is Tameya for 1 week, 7 days, and then she has 33 days of Yemei Torah. Which means that even if she's not bleeding, does not render her a Tameya. I will say we don't observe these halachas in this way today. That's because our halachos of Hilchos Nida have fundamentally changed. Our halachos of Hilchos Nida not have changed, but they merge with the halachos of Zava Gidola. We'll see it in Meseches Nida. We'll get into all of this. In any event, when biblically a woman gives birth to a boy, she's tamei for 7 days, and then Torah, even if she's waiting for 33 days. Now, Torah says the following: that if she gives birth to a girl, then Nikeva Teleb, the Tama Shvu'ayim means how long? Everything for a girl is doubled. So 2 weeks she's tamei, 66 days she's tahora. We'll say here's the problem. The problem is that the word Shvu'ayim is written without a vav. Writing Shvu'ayim, we write it Shin Vez Ayin Yud Mem. It's written, if you notice, it's written exactly how Shvu'ayim. So they asked Yehuda ben Roatz, maybe it's not Shvu'ayim. Maybe it's what? Maybe it's Shivim. Maybe it's Shivim. Maybe it's 70 days. Because that's when you look at it, that's maybe Torah is telling me that a woman is Tameya for 70 days after she gives birth to a girl. Yachol to give it Tameya Shivim. Amr Lahem, Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz says no. Rabbi Yehuda says, Tima v'tir b'zachar, v'time v'tir b'nekeva. The Torah says that there are days of Tumah and Tara when a woman gives birth to a boy, and days of Tumah and Tara when a woman gives birth to a girl. Ma kishetihir b'zachar, kiflayim. So we'll say, just like when it comes to Tara, so the Tara period of a boy and the birth of a boy is doubled for a girl. So if a woman is tahora for 33 days by a boy, she is tahora for 66 days by a girl. Af kishatime. So we'll say, so we see that the relationship between a boy and a girl, right, relationship between the birth of a boy and birth of a girl is doubled. That's the realm of Tara. We would assume that whatever is going to apply to Tara is going to apply to Tumah as well. Av kishatime bizachar b'nekeva kiflayim. ultimately again, and so too, whatever the Tumah period for a boy is after the birth of a boy, which in this case is 1 week, will be doubled by a girl. Therefore, again, even though the word looks like shivim, we know it can't mean shivim. What does it have to be? It has to be shivu ayim. La'achar sheyatzu machzir acharayim. So we'll say after Yehuda ben Roatz had and gave this whole drasha to the Talmidim, he ran after them. Amar lahem iatem zikukim lachach. So he said to them, but the truth is, you actually don't need this entire drasha. Why? Because shivu ayim karinan. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz says at the end of the day, you don't need this whole drasha. Why? Because the word is read as shivuayim, even though what? It looks like, right? When you read it, it looks like shivim, but because it is read as shivuayim, that's our Masorah, yesh aim lemikra. They give supremacy ultimately to the way the word is spoken and not the way the word is written. So over here you see Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz subscribes to the idea of yesh aim lemikra. Next, Beis Shammai Omer, and this is very exciting because this is like a whole variety of just totally unrelated cases. So Beis Shammai, but again, all coming back to the same principle of yesh aim lemikra. There is supremacy ultimately again to the spoken word. Beis Shammai, what does Beis Shammai say? This nan Beis Shammai omrim kol hanisnin al hamizbeach achitzon shenoston matana achas kiper. So we'll say so over here. Following that halacha lemaisa. If you go with certain karbanos require a sprinkling of blood on the mizbeach. So we'll say many karbanos have multiple matnas and multiple sprinklings of blood. So Beis Shammai says, even if you have a karban that requires a number of sprinklings of blood, so he says, however, as long as you did at least one sprinkling of blood for a particular karban on the mizbeach, so ultimately again, mission accomplished and kapara has been achieved. Shne'emar v'dam zivachecha yishafech. The Gemara says, "B'chatos shtei mataros." But a chatos requires ultimately again 2 acts of sprinkling. So the Gemara says, Beis Hillel says, "Af b'chatos shenosan v'matana achas kiper." Beis Hillel says, even by a chatos, if you just go ahead and do 1 sprinkling, that has atoned as well. So we'll say, so fundamental machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says that in all cases, even if a carbon requires multiple sprinklings, as long as you did at least 1, the carbon is effective. Beis Hillel says that's true for everything but a chatos. A chatos ultimately again, just said it wrong. But by a chatos you require 2. Beis Hillel says even by a chatos you only require 1. So good. My time to Beis Shammai. So we'll say what's Beis Shammai's logic? Meaning, why does Beis Shammai say that even if a carbon technically requires multiple sprinklings of blood, that as long as you did 1, the carbon is effective? So the Gemara says, so kronos, hare kan sheish. So let's listen to this. Karnos, really. So the pasuk says karnos 3 times. What's like karnos means the corners. Now, interestingly enough, Shammai says that it says karnos 3 times. Now, I'll point out to you over here something fascinating. If you have, the Torah or on the side of the Gemara, which lists the psukim, so you can actually see all of this in print. But also, the way it works is the first karnos is written chaser without a vav. The second karnos without a vav, and the third karnos is written chaser without a vav. All of them are written chaser. They're written deficient. They're not written with that vav, which would normally be used for a plural word. So Beis Shammai says that it's but, even though it's written vav, it's pronounced karnos, which is plural. So we'll say when you have 3 mentions of the word karnos, that gives you sheish, right? That ultimately, again, gives you 6 different applications, right? So it tells you 6 times you have to sprinkle on the corners of the mizbeach. So why 6 times? Arba l'mitzvah, to teach you that what? 4 times, I will say ar mitzvah, in other words, which means that 4 times are the v'lachatchila, u'shtayim la'akev. But ultimately, again, 2 of them are absolute necessities. So 2 of the sprinklings must be done. 4 of the sprinklings are mitzvah, but are not ma'akev, do not hold up the kapara. The boss say, pause over here for just a moment. What did we just see? We just saw that according to Beis Shammai, yesh aim lemikra. Right? Beis Shammai says that supremacy is given to the way the word is spoken, even if it's different than the way the word is written. In this context, the word is written deficiently without a vav, yet Beis Shammai still darshans it in a plural sense. Why? Because it's spoken out in a plural with a vav. Beis Hillel say, karnos, hare kanarba. The boss say, so Beis Hillel say, listen, the first karnos is written Mole, but the second two ones are written Chaser, Hare Kan Arba. So that gives you 4, right? That gives you 4. We'll say, so meaning the one with the Vav is worth 2, and each of the deficient ones are worth 1. So ultimately, again, that gives you 4. Gimel the mitzvah, the achas la'akev. 1 ultimately, again, is to teach you that there's a mitzvah, there's an obligation. And 3 are a mitzvah, and 1 is ma'akev. Ve'ema kulu the mitzvah. I don't understand. Why can't you darshan then that all of the sprinklings are the mitzvah? We'll say the mitzvah means it's something nice to do, but it's not necessarily obligatory, meaning it's not necessary for the kapara, to which the Gemara says, kapara b'chti lo ashkechan. We'll say you can't find the kapara for a carbon with absolutely no sprinkling, meaning maknas damim, sprinkling of the blood of the mizbech is an indispensable part of the avodah, but it appears that whether you need a basic 1 or a basic 2, that's the machlokes. So I will say, for our purposes, without getting into the weeds of karbanos, but for our purposes, we just saw that Beis Shammai darshan karnos, 3 words as being written as malay, as being written in the plural form, even though they're not written in the plural form because they're spoken in the plural form, he darshans them as plural words. Next, Rabbi Shimon, says, this is great. Rabbi Shimon, Desanya, Shtayim Kil Chasan, Mushlishis Afilu Tefach. I will say Sukkah. It's like, do you realize how exciting this is? We've gone from Tumas Leda to Karbanos to Sukkah. All mamish in like 10 minutes. Incredible. Rabbi Shimon, resolution is Desanya, Shtayim Kil Chasan, Mushlishis Afilu Tefach. So listen to this. We know that there's halacha l'moshe Sinai when it comes to Sukkah the following. That the last wall of the Sukkah, not have to be a full wall. Rather, again, all you need is a tefach of a wall, and that constitutes a wall agabi the sukkah. So we'll say the machlokis we're going to see is what are the basic dimensions of a sukkah. So shtayim kil chasan, if you have 2 regular walls, ushlishas afilu tefach, and the third wall is only a tefach, so the halach is that sukkah is kosher. Rabbi Shimon says, Shlosh kil chasan, you need 3 regular walls, or revias afilu tefach, and the 4th wall could even be a tefach. So we'll say, fundamental machlokes between Rabbi Shimon and the Rabbanon. Rabbanon say a minimum sukkah is 2 walls, and a 3rd wall that's a tefach. Rabbi Shimon says it's 3 walls, and a 4th wall that's a tefach. But my comment for the what are they arguing about? Rabbanon sabri yish im lamasores. The Rabbanon say that when darshaning, we have to look at how the word is written. But Rabbi Shimon savar yesh im lamikra. And Rabbi Shimon says, no, we look at how the word is spoken. Watch this, Rabbi say. Rabbanon savar yesh im lamasores. So the Rabbanon holds is given to the way the word is written. So I'll say when the Torah speaks about sukkos, it says basukos, basukos, basukos. So remember again, in the first 2 forms of the word sukkah, it's written chaser without the vavs. The last sukkah is written malay, hare kan arba. So we'll say essentially that gives you 4 sukkos, right? 4 sukkos. Because sukkah number 1, that is deficient. That meaning not deficient, meaning really out the vav is worth 1, so to speak. Sukkah number 2 is worth 1. Sukkos number 3, which is written malay, is worth 2. Hare kan arba, dal chat kra legufei. So take away 1 pasuk, I will say, take away 1 sukkos. Ultimately, again, that's necessary to teach us just the concept of sukkah. That leaves me with 3 hilchasa, gar asa lishlishis, v'kimta atefach. So we'll say I'm left with 3 sukkos, and the halacha l'moshe Sinai tells you I need 3 walls, but that 3rd wall need not be a complete wall, rather only needs to be a tefach. We'll say first wide line, dalal and dalal. Rabbi Shimon says, basukos, 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 hare kan sheish. Rabbi Shimon says, I don't care. We don't look at how it's written, but rather what? We look at how it's pronounced. And it's pronounced as basukos, basukos, basukos. Each of them are plural. Hare kan sheish. Each one is quote unquote worth 2. Therefore, that gives me 6 sukkos. Dal chad kra legufe. So take away 1 of the sukkos to teach you the concept of sukkah itself. Pashu lehu arba. We'll say that leaves me with 4 sukkos. Asay hilchasa gar asa l'revias vok me'atefach. Teaches that the sukkah must be 4 walls. And Allah Moshe Sinai comes along and teaches me that what? That the 4th wall only needs to be a tefach. And I will say for our purposes over here, you see that Rabbi Shimon holds that yesh aim lamikra, that we ascribe supremacy ultimately to how the word is spoken. Rabbi Akiva, what's Rabbi Akiva's case? Tisanya, Rabbi Akiva Omer, minayim l'revias dam sheyatza mishnei meisim shematami ba'ohel. So it's another interesting case. Rabbi Akiva says, how do you know that blood is that a revius of blood is metame ba'oel, which means that if you're under the same roof as a revius of blood, that you could become tame from tumas meis from that. Rabbi Akiva says that even if you have a revius of dam, a revius of blood that comes from two different corpses, so two bodies both go ahead and combine to form a shear of a revius of blood. So the Gemara says, Shemetayim ba'ohel, that has the ability to convey tumas ohel. How do I know that? Shnei Amar, al kol nafshos meis lo yavo. So says the Gemara, al kol nafshos meis, plural. On all, literally, you shall not come in contact with all nafshos meis, dead people. Shtei nefashos v'shir echad. So Rabbi Akiva learns that from over here. Nafshos meis to teach me that even if the requisite amount of blood, i.e. the revius, comes from two different sources, it's mitame tumasol. For Rabbanon, says Rabbi Akiva darshans. The Rabbanon don't darshans because they say nafshos ksiv. They both say even though the word is read nafshos, it's written nafshos without the vav, so it's not written. It's written in the singular form, and therefore again you can't learn this halakha. So we'll say again, what do you see from here? That Rabbi Akiva holds yesh aim lamikra. Supremacy is given to the spoken word. So maskif la. So we'll say, so again, so this is really like exceptionally exciting Gemara, because here the Gemara is saying lined up all of these different opinions, all who subscribe to the same approach of yesh ein lamikra. So says the Gemara, Maskif Achabar Yaakov, Mi'ika the Leslie yesh ein lamikra. I don't understand. You're making it sound like that there are those who argue with this premise of yesh ein lamikra. Is there anyone who doesn't hold yesh ein lamikra? Meaning we all agree that supremacy is given to the spoken word and not to the way that it's written. Vatanya, I'll tell you why. Because if you don't subscribe to yesh ein lamikra, you have a problem. Pasuk is Vatanya b'chalevimo. Pasuk says lo siv ashal b'di b'chalevimo. You can't cook a kid in its mother's work. Pasuk b'chalav yochol b'chalef. I might have thought maybe it's not chalav. Like maybe it's not chalav. Maybe I will say, what is it? It's chalef. Maybe it's fat. Maybe what it's saying is lo sevashel gedi b'chelevimo. There's no din of basar b'chalav. B'chelev. So the Gemara says yesh ein lamikra. So I'll say, but rather you see from here that's what. Look at the Rashi. Amrit yesh ein lamikra. Top of Dalum Beis. V'lekaman depolik. The polik basar b'chalav. Also listen to this. It's amazing. So the Gemara says, what is this that's saying this over here? This is Rav Bar Yaakov. Rav Bar Yaakov says everyone has to agree with yesh ein lamikra. Why are saying? Because if you don't hold yesh ein lamikra, then you know what? You don't. I'm sorry. If you don't hold yesh ein lamikra, then at the end of the day, it's almost impossible to learn out the isser of basa b'chalav. Because both say again in lamasoras, which means supremacy is given to the way that it's written. I don't know if that's chalav or chalev. Again, because we all agree yesh ein lamikra, and our Masorah is that we know that we read it as chalav. That's the isur of basar b'chalav. So Rav Bar Yaakov is saying everyone agrees with lamikra. Ela dukuli am yesh ein lamikra. Oh, okay, you're right. After we spent this whole Amud Aleph showing these machloksim, the Gemara says you're right. You're right. You're right. There's no machlok. It's supposed to just you should know. It's an incredible Musar. How sometimes we invest a lot of time and energy into creating a certain construct or framework for ourselves. And sometimes it's clear that it's wrong. It becomes clear to us that it's wrong. And the hardest thing in life is to backpedal. The hardest thing in life is when you go out and you invested so much time in a personality and an identity and a mahalach and whatever, and then you realize, wow, this is just incorrect. So I think most times people just dig in their heels and would rather go ahead and just continue down in the wrong path than to revisit it. But you see, Chazal give us this incredible musar. We just spent Amud Aleph all of this time solidifying this idea that there's a machlokes. Now the Gemara says, okay, we were wrong. We were wrong. It's an incredible yisur in life about it's okay to say that you're wrong. It's okay. It's okay. We make mistakes, and the best thing you can do when you make a mistake is I acknowledge it, try to go ahead and redirect myself and move forward. El duchuli alma yesh ein lamikra. You're right. Everyone holds yesh ein lamikra. Though we're gonna challenge this again in just a moment. El duchuli alma yesh ein lamikra. Everyone agrees. They'll say that supremacy is given to the way the word is spoken. The Rebbe so says, here's the problem. If everyone agrees that yesh ein lamikra, now you know what we're gonna have to do. We have to start all over. Now we have to go back to all of these machloksim and then figure out what are they about. We thought they were arguing about yesh ein lamikra, yesh ein lamasoras. If you're telling me now that everybody agrees yesh ein lamikra, I need now to go back and figure out what are they arguing about over here. So let's do this. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Rabbanan. So what are Rabbi and the Rabbanan arguing about? Rabbi Rabbanan, B'hakam Eflagi, Rabbi Savar, Yarshion Elohim, Achrini. Rabbi holds, time the Torah discusses Yarshion Elohim, that's talking about a different set of judges. So meaning the Torah told me Elohim the first time, which means two, and then Rebbe understands that the second mention of Rishon was talking about another two judges, and therefore again, both say that leads Rebbe to what? A Beis Din made up of four judges. You can't have a Beis Din shachal, you can't have an even numbered Beis Din, and therefore again you get to five for Rabbanan Savri Yarshion Deheich. Whereas the Rabbanan understand that the Yarshion Elohim in the second pasuk is referring to the same Elohim of the first pasuk. And just like in the first pasuk it was two, in the second pasuk it was two, you can't have a Beis Din of two, therefore it becomes three. So the machlokes is just on what the Elohim is actually going on, but nothing to do with the creation of the Masoros. Next, Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz. So remember again, what did Rabbi Yehuda ben Roatz say? Yehuda ben Roatz lo pligi rabbanan alei. So the Gemara says in the case Rabbi was the Leida, was the Tumas Leida case. So in his case, the Gemara says that really the Rabbanan are lo pligi rabbanan alei. We're going to come back and define that more. Beis Hillel. What about Beis Hillel? So let's remember again, Beis Hillel was the machlokes of the minimum number of sprinklings. Beis Shammai says that you need a minimum of one, but for a chatas two. Beis Hillel says even for a chatas you only need one. So the Gemara says Beis Hillel the Sanya. The first says Yishalato 3 times. Mipnei hadim v'halo dinhu damim lamata. So listen to this. So if you look at Rashi says Mipnei hadin. It's the fourth short line in Rashi. Hutzruchu lichtav kulan. Why did the Torah have to write v'chiper? So the Gemara says Mipnei hadin. You have to write all of them. The ilah havaksivi havu maisana medina dekula matnos ma'akvi. We are going to see now that the Torah had to write v'chiper. Because had it not written that, I would have learned this from a Kal V'chomer. What's the Kal V'chomer? V'alo dinhu ne'emar damim lamata. It says over. It says damim. It says damim by ultimately the sprinkling on the mizbeach. V'ne'emar damim lamalo ma damim ha'amurim lamata shenasan b'matana achas kiper. So just like it says also by the second mentioning of the damim. It means that if you went ahead and you did one application, it's mechaper. So too again by the damim that I mentioned the mala, I'm going to tell you what these are in just a moment. So ultimately, one application should be enough to affect kapara as well. Look at Rashi for just a moment. Ne'emru damim beparsha lemata gabechatas saov. So we'll say the lemata is by chatas of the bird offering that is the chatos. Dishmias hakol d'chsiv v'hiza midam achatas al kira mizbeach v'nemru damim lamala b'chatas behema. So the Gemara over here is equating the chatas of with the chatas behema. So just like the chatas matam amur lemata, just like by the chatas ha'ov, there is one application and that's enough. So too by the chatas behema, all you need is one application as well. So we're going to learn out the blood applications of the chatas behema from the blood applications of the chatas ha'ov. Okay, lechla derech zu, or perhaps one could have made a different argument. Ne'emar damim b'chutz v'ne'emar damim bifnim. It says blood application on the outside mizbeach. So the outside mizbeach is what we call the mizbeach hachitzon, which was the large mizbeach used for animal sacrifice. V'ne'emar damim bifnim. But there were certain blood applications specifically on Yom Kippur that were done on the inner mizbeach. Now remember, the inner mizbeach is the mizbeach hakitoras, the incense mizbeach. You're not offering up animals there, but on Yom Kippur there are blood applications there. So I would say if I'm matam hamurim bifnim chisar achas mimatanos mimatnos lo asav lo klum. So just like if you missed something, in other words, if you did not do one of the applications on the inner mizbeach, so ultimately again you have compromised the sacrificial service. So to afdamim ha'amurim b'chutz. So too, I would say that what? If you missed a blood application on the outer mizbeach, so lo asav lo klum. Ultimately, again, if you missed one, you did absolutely nothing. Take a look at the Rashi we just moment bifnim. It's like in the middle of the short lines. Bifnim chatos hapnimios depar koin mashiach v'ha'elam davar hatu'unin sheva zayos ala parochas v'ala mizbeach hazav. Okay, so actually Rashi's not bringing down the example of Yom Kippur. He's bringing down the example of par koin mashiach, or par ha'elam davar min hatzibur, or certain sin offerings. Utran bu matana achas mi'akeves beis mokaman. So say, listen to this. So the Gemara is dashing the following idea. What do you compare to what? So if you compare the chatas hapnim to the chatas hachutz, right? If you go ahead, or I should say differently, if you compare the chatas beima to the chatas ha'of, they say that the chatas ha'of has one blood application, so chatas beima only needs one blood application as well. There'll be more blood applications, but all you need is one. On the other hand, if you compare outside karbanos to the mizbeach hachitzon, to the karbanos of the mizbeach hapanimi, just like the mizbeach hapanimi, if you miss one blood application, the carbon is ineffective. So on the outside, if you miss one blood application, the carbon is ineffective. So depending on what you compare to will determine the outcome. To which the Gemara says, lemidome, near lemidome. So we'll say in general, we like to compare similar things. Therefore, danin chutz michutz ve'in danin chutz mipnim. So therefore, we would rather compare karbanos that are offered on the outside, the external mizbeach, the mizbeach hachitzon, to one another, rather than compare karbanos that are offered on the outside mizbeach to karbanos offered on the inside mizbeach. Therefore, I would sooner say, let's compare chatas beima to chatas ha'of. The same chatas ha'of has one blood application and it's kosher. So too again, it requires one blood application to be kosher. Okay, or perhaps you go in a different direction. Done in chatos v'dalit karnos mechatos va'arba karnos. Or perhaps you want to compare one case of chatos that is sprinkled on the four corners to another case of chatos that is sprinkled on the four corners. Va'al yochiach zeh she'in chatos v'dalit karnos. And don't try to compare it to a case that is not a chatos and therefore does not have a requirement of four corners. Therefore, we'll say, what's the upshot of all of this? Talmud lomar v'chiper mipnei hadin. Therefore, the Torah has to say, because had we just left this to just deriving conclusions through comparisons, we could see how we could emerge with an erroneous conclusion. Therefore, the Torah says the word singular word, v'chiper, 3 times. And what do I learn from that? Kiper, afa pishlan asan ala shlosha. It teaches me, we'll say kiper 3 times is 3. It teaches me that even if I only have 3 blood applications for required, more I can still affect kapara. Kiper teaches me a second kapara, afa pishlan asan ala shtayim. That even if I only have 2 blood applications, it's kosher. And kiper, afa pishlo nasan ela achas. I will say ultimately, and it teaches me the last keeper to teach me that what? That even if I just had 1. So keeper, you could have 3, great. If you have 2, you're okay also. But at the end of the day, if you just have 1, it's still kosher. So we'll say it turns out that their machlokes ultimately is just how the darshan, but it has nothing to do with yesh im mikra, yesh im masor. It's very exciting. Weiter. Says the Gemara, Reb Shin Rabbanan, Sukkah. Sukkah, what do we do with Sukkah? Remember again, we said before this machlokes Reb Shin Rabbanan about what the dimensions are of a sukkah. The Rabbanan say that a sukkah is 2 walls and a 3rd wall that's a tefach. Rabbi Shimon says 3 walls and a 4th wall that is a tefach. The way we set up the machlokes is how we set it up as saying that lamaisa again. It's how they dash the word sukkos, right? Even though sukkos is not so. Rabbi Shimon darshans it as sukkos malay, because it's spoken plural, and therefore that gives us 6. Take 1 away. Good. We know the drasha. We painted it as a machlokes of yesh im lemikra, yesh im lemasoras. Now the Gemara is telling me everyone agrees yesh im lemikra. Supremacy is given to the spoken word. So what's the nature of the machlokes? So it says the Gemara. Excuse me. Listen to this. I'm sorry. So Rabbi Shimon Savar sichacha lo baikra. Rabbanan Savri sichacha baikra. We'll say, watch this. The shaila is need one of the word sukkos, one of the sukkos, to teach me the din of schach or not. Do you need me to teach the din of schach or not? So we'll say, if you look at Rashi for just a moment, Rashi says, Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan, kulhu yesh im lamikra. Everyone agrees that supremacy is given to the spoken word. So the Gemara said, the chimid the less chad besukos legufei pashalu arba. Rabbi Shimon say that you take out, right? Everybody agrees yesh im lamikra. So you're going to take away out 1 sukkos, that leaves you with 4. Therefore, Rabbi Shimon says, going to take out 1 because one of them teaches me the actual din of sukkah itself. teaches me 4. So I need 4 walls of a sukkah. Halach Moshe Sinai teaches me that what? The 4th wall only needs to be a tefach. Rabbanan Savri Sicha Baikra. The Rabbanan hold that you need one of the sukkos to teach you the concept of schach. In other words, so therefore, even if I start out with 6 pashaluhu gimel defanos, so therefore it turns out that I take away one of the sukkos teaching the concept of sukkah, one of the sukkos ultimately again to teach me the concept of schach that leaves me with 3. And now that I'm left with 3, the halacha Moshe Sinai comes along and teaches me that I only need 2 full walls plus a tefach of a 3rd. So the way the Gemara is framing this now is whether or not you need to take away one of those sukkos to teach you the concept of schach, that you need schach. Do Rabbanan say yes? Rabbi Shimon says, why does Rabbi Shimon say no? Why does Rabbi Shimon say no? Because again, Rabbi Shimon says, sukkah nikres shma al shem haschach. In other words, what makes a sukkah, we'll say, is what? Is the schach. That means that's the defining feature. The defining feature of a sukkah is the fact that it has a temporary roof. That's what makes it a temporary structure. We know we pass the halacha l'maisa, the walls of a sukkah can be of the most solid materials. Doesn't matter what you make the walls out of. But the walls don't have to necessarily be of an impermanent nature. They can even be of something. What makes a sukkah? So Bishlam says, I don't need a pasuk to teach me about schach. Schach is the ikr part of the sukkah. Rabbanan say, no, you need a pasuk for schach, or a word for schach also. That machlokis translates ultimately into how many sukkos you have available for drasha purposes. Next, Rabbi Kiva Rabbanan. So remember, next machlokis, Rabbi Kiva Rabbanan. So we'll say, what happens if you have a revius of blood, corpses? 2 corpses. Rabbi Akiva says if it comes together, it's in revius. Then what? It's metame ba'ohel. The Rabbanan say it's not. So what are they arguing about? So the Pligi, Rabbi Akiva savar nafshos tarti mashma. Rabbi Akiva says that nafshos 2 people. The Rabbanan savri nafshos da'alma mashma. And the Rabbanan say no. Nafshos is just the way the Torah speaks. It just means people in general. Fine. So the Gemara says, well, say, so now watch this. So now, so just understand what we started with over here. We started this morning. It feels like, it's only been 40 minutes, right, since we started the dot. But it feels like we've been on such a roller coaster. So remember, we started again with a statement that there's machlokes. Yesh im lemikra, yesh im lemasoras. Okay, that was the machlokes, and we defined all of these cases along those machlokes lines. Then the Gemara says, no machlokes. Everyone agrees yesh im lemikra. Supremacy is given to the way that the word is spoken. What do we have to do as a result of that? We have to redefine all of these machlokes. Now the Gemara comes along and says, is that really true? That everybody holds yesh ein lemikra, right? Is that really true that everybody holds that? But 1 second. Vatanya. Litotafos. Right? Well, so my Torah uses this strange word of totafos. It says it 3 times. Now, if you notice again, so 2 times it's written chaser without the vavs. 1 time it's written chaser. Harei kan arba divrei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel teaches us that what the tefillin have to have 4 compartments. Where does he get 4 compartments? I will say because totafos is 1, is 2, and totafos number 3, which is written chaser, which is written male with the vavs, represents what? +1 + 2 is 4. Rabbi Shmuel Darshan. So here you see that you need either 4 compartments or 4 parshos, something with 4 with tefillin. Rabbi Kiva Omer Einot Tzarech. Rabbi Kiva said, I will say now understand what is Rabbi Shmuel doing? That is yesh ein lemasoras. What that is saying is supremacy is given to the way the word is written, not the way the word is spoken. What are you talking about? You just told me over here that everyone agrees yesh ein lemikra, and here we've got the great sage Rabbi Shmuel telling me that no, yesh ein lemasoras. Rabbi Kiva says einot tzarech. Rabbi Kiva says, Rabbi Shmuel, you don't need this whole drasha. Rather, elatat bekas vishtayim pas ba'afriki shtayim. Ultimately, Rabbi Kiva says you don't need the whole drasha. The word totafos is not etymologically a Hebrew word. It's not Lashon HaKodesh. There's no Hebraic etymological root for the word totafos. Rather, Rashi HaKodesh says it's actually from 2 different dialects. Right? It's tat bekafsi in some Kaspi languages too. Pas in some African dialect is too. The Levi Yitzchak Berditcher brings down. He says, "What's the pshat? Why did the Shalom give us?" I'll say tomorrow. So let's finish. El Olam Pligi. As the Gemara says, you're right. It's a machlokes. It's a machlokes. Wow. Exhausted. Exhausted. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. So the Gemara says, it's a machlokes. Not every machlokes of yesh ein lemikra, yesh ein lemasoras. V'hanim liki pliki. But watch this. When do they have a machlokes? Heichad Shanikra Mimasoras. We'll say now. We'll end off with this piece today. We'll pick up with it tomorrow. But when do we say there's a machlokes? Machlokes when the written word really is different than the spoken word. That's when there's a machlokes between when the way. So the example of that would be, let's say, shivim shvuayim. When the written word and the spoken are two different words. Actually, leave that on the side. Aval hai chalav v'chet. So remember again, the reason why the Gemara had to say that everyone agrees with yesh ein la mikra was why basar v'chalav. Because if you don't hold yesh ein la mikra, then the pasuk will be teaching me what lo sabashal gedi. Imo. Maybe it's about fat. Maybe it's not talking about milk. So that's how the Gemara backed into saying everyone has to agree with Yesh Ein Mikra. Now that the Gemara is saying that it's actually a machlokes, the shaila is how you go ahead and you darshan bas b'chalav. So we'll stop over here. We'll pick up a merchel and bas b'chalav. So just understand where we're holding. Where we're leaving off is we're back to square where we started with today, assuming that indeed there is a machlokes between those who hold Yesh Ein Mikra, Yesh Ein Masoras. But if you're going to say there's a machlokes, it requires of us to understand how you know that Lo Sevashel Gadiba Chaliv Imo is Chalav and ultimately not Chalev. Merit Hashem to be continued tomorrow.